A black woman walks into the luxurious furniture showroom she herself founded and is denied service, judged solely by her clothes and the color of her skin. But what they don't know, the woman they look down on is Selena Monroe, the powerful CEO behind the entire Elara Atelier empire. And when she returns, not with brute force, but with silence and a ruthless plan, a quiet purge begins. Behind the gleaming glass, who's truly in control of discrimination? And how does a young employee become the key to transforming the entire system? This is a story of subtle prejudice, a silent counterstrike, and how one woman turned humiliation into a weapon that would change an entire industry. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to update our latest videos. Morning light pierced through the misted glass of the 53rd floor. The executive office of Elara Atelier, the ultra-luxury furniture brand that Selena Monroe had spent nearly 2 decades building. On the gleaming ebony wood desk lay a neatly placed envelope, its top already torn open. Yet it seemed the recipient had no intention of reading it a second time. Selena sat in silence before the glass wall, her eyes fixed on the distant canopy of Griffith Park. The coffee cup in her hand had long gone cold, but she hadn't taken a sip. Her other hand rested lightly on the white envelope, where the sender's name was written in careful handwriting: Kenneth Rhodes. She had read the letter the night before. A part of her wanted to dismiss it, to believe it was a misunderstanding, but another part, the part that had once been rejected because of her skin color, refused to look away. To Elara Atelier, last week, I visited your showroom in Beverly Grove in hopes of selecting a suitable sofa for my new apartment. I have been a loyal customer of Elara since my time in Atlanta and have always appreciated the brand's philosophy of beauty without bias. However, the experience at the showroom was disappointing. Though I was dressed appropriately and clearly expressed interest in the Valencia Luxe line, I was ignored by the staff and then redirected to lower-priced models. Meanwhile, a white couple who arrived after me was offered tea and escorted to view the very product I had been denied. I write this letter not out of anger, but because I believe Elara should know. If even a brand I once trusted can behave with such prejudice, then perhaps no place is truly safe. Sincerely, Kenneth Rhodes. Selena set the coffee cup down. Kenneth's words were calm yet cutting. Not a single harsh sentence, yet every line struck at the core values she had built with blood, sweat, and conviction. Elara was not meant to be like other brands. That was why it was born. Selena never aimed to just produce furniture. She wanted to redefine how society viewed luxury, not by the logo on a handbag or the color of a customer's skin, but through experience, elegance, and hospitality. She pressed the internal speed dial. "Malcolm, are you free? I need to meet urgently." A few minutes later, strategic advisor Malcolm Grant stepped into the office. He was the only one on the team who could read Selena's introspective gaze without needing a single word. "What's going on, Selena?" "I just read a letter from Kenneth Rhodes." "A former client?" Selena nodded and handed him the letter. Malcolm skimmed through it, then looked up, his face darkening. "Beverly Grove Showroom. That's our top-performing location this year." Selena's tone sharpened. "And also the one I've visited the least in the past 2 years." She walked over to her desk, pulled open a drawer, and took out Elara Atelier's original brand manifesto, where the operational philosophy was once boldly stated: "Hospitality is not a privilege, it is the standard." Selena spoke slowly, eyes locked on Malcolm. I need you to book me a flight to Los Angeles. No official capacity, no announcement, no assistant. I'll go as a customer. Malcolm blinked, slightly stunned. Selena, are you sure about this? She stared directly into his eyes. If my system is rotting from within, I can't fix it from the top down. I need to see it with my own eyes. Malcolm nodded with respect. Understood. I'll arrange everything. As Malcolm left the room, Selena turned back to the glass wall. In the morning sunlight, her face revealed fierce resolve. Not just that of a founder, but of a woman who had once walked through tightly shut doors. This time she would walk through the front door. Not with fame, not with power, but with belief in the truth. The plane touched down at LAX International Airport on a quiet Wednesday morning. Amid the stream of hurried passengers descending the jet bridge, a modestly dressed black woman quietly wheeled her carry-on behind her. No one recognized her as Selena Monroe, the CEO of Elara Atelier, one of the most influential luxury furniture brands in the United States. Selena had chosen a simple outfit, an unbranded white blouse, dark jeans, and worn leather loafers. Her natural curls were neatly tied back, and her handbag was soft leather with no flashy logos. No bodyguards, no luxury car, just a middle-aged woman looking for furniture for a new apartment. Exactly the kind of customer her company claimed to welcome. The rented SUV carried her through the bustling boulevards of Los Angeles toward Beverly Grove, home to the most expensive showroom in the Elara Atelier chain. Under the brilliant California sun, glass towers shimmered with the distinct sheen of wealth and privilege. Selena glanced out the window, her gaze calm but piercing. This wasn't her first time entering a space bearing her own name, but this time she wasn't here for a ribbon cutting. She was here to rip off a mask. 10:14 a.m. Selena stood before the Elara Atelier showroom, the Beverly Grove Gallery, its towering glass facade reflecting the open sky above. The golden signage above the automatic doors gleamed as if welcoming only those deemed worthy enough to enter. No one here knew she had founded the brand. None of the current staff had ever met the CEO, save for a few distant internal emails, and that made this the perfect test. Inside, the air was cool and subtly infused with the scent of cedarwood and genuine leather, Elara's signature ambiance. Warm yellow lighting cast a soft glow on displays that resembled works of art. Solid wood tables from Italy, hand-carved leather chairs, sofas with immaculate stitching. Selena walked slowly, eyes scanning everything. A few employees passed by, glancing at her for no more than 2 seconds before turning away. No smiles, no greetings. She approached the front desk, where a perfectly made-up blonde receptionist was busy touching up her lipstick in a compact mirror. "Hello," Selena said gently. "I'd like to look at the Valencia Luxe sofa, the one with curved armrests in caramel leather." The receptionist looked up and momentarily froze. Her eyes swept over Selena's modest outfit before replying in a rehearsed, calculated tone. "That collection requires a separate appointment since it's currently limited. Let me check with the manager." She turned away without offering Selena a seat. No request for contact info, leaving her standing alone in the quiet showroom, like an untagged object waiting to be sorted. A minute later, a man emerged from deeper inside the showroom. Bryce Wexler, the gallery's general manager, tall, neatly combed hair, wearing a tailored navy suit. The face of a man who built his success on carefully screening potential clients. "Good morning," he said with professional coldness. "I'm Bryce. How can I assist you?" "I'd like to take a look at the Valencia Luxe if possible," Selena said calmly. Bryce looked her up and down, not to understand her needs, but to assess her worth. "That piece is currently on display, but has been reserved for a client with a scheduled appointment. Typically, we only accommodate clients with bookings to ensure a personalized experience." Selena tilted her head. "I only want to view it. If it's on display, why can't I?" Bryce gave a tight smile. "We try to serve efficiently and prioritize customers with clear financial profiles." He didn't say it outright, but the implication was unmistakable. She wasn't suitable. Before Selena could respond, a white couple entered the showroom. Well-dressed, but no more so than Selena. Immediately, another staff member rushed over. "Mr. and Mrs. Callahan, such a pleasure to welcome you. No appointment, no financial screening." They were offered white wine and ushered straight to the Valencia Luxe display Selena had just been denied. She stood silent. No outburst, no anger, but her gaze, sharp as a blade. Seeing she hadn't left yet, Bryce leaned in slightly, tone even. "I'm afraid we currently don't have anything that matches your needs." Selena didn't reply. She simply looked him straight in the eyes, no fury, no fear, then gave a slight nod and turned away. She didn't need to argue, because she had seen what she came to see, and that was more than enough. As the heavy glass doors of the Elara Atelier, Beverly Grove Gallery closed behind her, Selena Monroe paused at the top of the steps leading to the street. The midday sun of Los Angeles shone through the crystal-clear windows, illuminating her face. But her eyes had noticeably turned colder. Behind that glass, the gazes had passed right through her, as if she were invisible. Not because she was poor, not because she lacked sophistication, but because of her skin. Selena slowly crossed the street to a boutique cafe with a balcony that looked directly onto the showroom. She picked a secluded corner, ordered a black espresso, and pulled a tablet from her bag. An internal dossier on the Beverly Grove showroom lit up on the screen. The data confirmed it. This was Elara Atelier's top-performing showroom on the West Coast, lavishly decorated, staffed with selective personnel, and proudly touted by Bryce Wexler in Modern Interior magazine as, "We don't just sell furniture, we sell a piece of a lifestyle." Selena's lips curled into a dry smile. Now she understood what kind of lifestyle he meant. She took her coffee and stared through the cafe window straight at the other side of the battlefield. From this distance, she could see every gesture of the staff inside the showroom, the smirks when certain clients entered, the sudden enthusiasm for those with the right look, and the indifferent glances cast at those who didn't fit in. In just 30 minutes, she witnessed a white man in a t-shirt and khakis being escorted to the VIP lounge and served imported French mineral water. A black woman in a professional business suit being held at the reception desk for over 5 minutes before being told the product was already reserved. An Asian couple looking at an oak dining table being interrupted by a staff member suggesting a more affordable line that might suit them better. Selena took notes on each incident: time, details, behavior. This was no longer speculation. This was a live social experiment, and her own showroom was failing the test. Just then, the showroom doors opened again. A well-dressed black woman in her mid-50s stepped inside, even more polished than Selena had been that morning. From afar, Selena held her breath. She wanted to see what would happen. The receptionist's face changed the moment she saw the woman. No greeting, no smile. The guest said something, pointing toward the sofa near the glass, the Valencia Luxe. At that moment, another employee, a young woman with neatly tied brown hair, stepped forward as if to guide her. But then she hesitated. From the back, Bryce Wexler appeared and firmly pointed toward another display section. The young woman paused, swallowed, and reluctantly followed the directive. The guest stood still for a moment, quietly absorbing how she had just been handled. Then, with a faint nod, she turned and left the showroom without a word. Selena felt a weight settle in her chest, not because of the repeated discrimination, but because she had finally seen the most crucial thing. A staff member who wanted to resist, but didn't have the power. That young woman, the one forced to deny the guest, had eyes full of conflict, hands clutching her folder tightly, and feet that dragged with invisible weight as she turned away. Selena took another note. Young assistant. Brown hair. Around 25. Hesitation noticeable when asked to redirect guest. Expression. Conflicted. Employee name tag. Alina Perez. She was the first crack in the cold concrete wall called showroom culture. And if Selena wanted to dismantle the entire system, she now knew. Alina could be the key. Selena sat a while longer, her eyes fixed on the thick glass that separated two worlds. One side, those excluded from a false sense of class. The other, those convinced they had the right to exclude. She sipped the last of her espresso. The bitter taste lingered on her tongue, like the disappointment that had seeped into her bloodstream. But beneath that bitterness, a storm was beginning to form. Afternoon in Beverly Grove drifted by under a veneer of glamorous illusion. Sleek black SUVs cruised slowly down the boulevard, and stylish couples strolled past boutique storefronts as if starring in a Hollywood film with no script. From the cafe balcony, Selena Monroe kept her gaze fixed on Elara Atelier, her own showroom, the very place where, just hours earlier, she had been subtly turned away by employees under the authority of Bryce Wexler. She had sat there long enough to see patterns become undeniable, and then the revolving glass door opened again. A white couple walked in. The man, around 60, carried himself with quiet authority. Silver hair, a charcoal cashmere coat, pale grey trousers. The woman beside him wore a silk dress, an Hermes scarf loosely draped around her neck, and gleaming pointed heels. They carried no overt financial symbols, no Birkin bags, no Patek Philippe watches, but their entire aura screamed one word: belonging. And the showroom responded with enthusiastic service. Selena sat upright when she saw 3 staff members immediately leave their posts, including Bryce Wexler. "Mr. Calloway, it's such an honor to welcome you and your wife." Bryce beamed, bowing slightly as though receiving royalty. "We've prepared the full preview of the new line, including the limited edition Valencia Luxe you mentioned last week." Selena clenched her hand around the cold coffee cup. Valencia Luxe, the very sofa she had been denied access to earlier that same day. Bryce signaled to a female staffer to fetch materials, while he personally escorted the Callaways to the central showroom space, where the sofa sat beneath warm golden lighting like a throne awaiting the elite. No one asked, "Do you have an appointment?" No one gave them a once-over. No one said, "That piece is already reserved." There were only smiles, champagne, and reverence, as if they were serving deities. Across the street, Selena felt as though she had been slapped. Not with a hand, but with something far more insidious. Institutionalized bias disguised as customer service. She closed her eyes for a few seconds, steadying her breath. Then opened her tablet and began noting every detail. 1622, White couple enters showroom. 1624. Personally welcomed by Bryce. 1625. Guided directly to Valencia Lux, the set she had been denied. 1626. Offered champagne. 1627. Given personalized brochure. 7 minutes, and every door was opened. Compared to nearly 45 minutes of neglect when she had visited that same morning. Selena set down the tablet and pulled out her phone. "Malcolm," she said when her assistant picked up, "I need you to prepare phase 2. I want to test the extent of their client screening." "You mean send someone in undercover?" Selena's eyes locked onto the showroom where Bryce was now pouring wine for the couple. "Yes, but someone different from me. I need a white person, dressed modestly. And you know exactly what I'm trying to prove." After ending the call, Selena stood, picked up her bag, and left the cafe. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the stone pavement. She walked slowly across the street, eyes never leaving the glass walls of the showroom. A space that was meant to embody her dream. An Elara Atelier that was fair, modern, and free of prejudice. Instead, it had become the very betrayal of the ideals she built it upon. She stopped once more in front of the glass, stared directly inside. Bryce met her gaze, the same polite smile, the same hollow eyes, as if he didn't even remember turning her away that morning. Selena tilted her head slightly. No smile, no nod. Just stood there. A silent message, loud and clear. "I saw everything." The day was drawing to a close. The brilliant golden sunlight of Los Angeles had softened, cascading over the stone-paved streets like a shimmering silk carpet, reflecting off the gleaming glass facade of Elara Atelier, Beverly Grove Gallery. Across the street, on the second floor of a cafe, a small table tucked in the shadowy corner near the railing still held the warmth of its occupant. Selena Monroe had returned to her vantage point, a steaming cup of oolong tea, her tablet open in recording and note-taking mode, and a mini camera clipped to her canvas bag, perfectly angled toward the showroom. She didn't need to step inside to witness what was happening. She had seen it all, from the outside. A white Range Rover pulled up in front. A white man, around 35, stepped out wearing jeans and a polo shirt. He looked average, nothing flashy. The moment he opened the showroom door, a staff member immediately came out to greet him. A handshake, a bright smile, and a textbook welcome. "Welcome to Elara Atelier, sir. How may I assist you today?" Selena made notes. 1708, white male, casual attire, immediately engaged by staff. 1709, guided to view the new Aurora Living collection. 11:12 நிமிடம். An Asian woman, around 50, walked in. Grey slacks, cream blouse, soft leather bag, neat, professional. No one came to greet her. She walked to the reception desk and asked something. Selena couldn't hear, watching from afar, and was told to wait. She stood alone for 4 minutes. Finally, a staff member, seemingly reluctant, approached. They spoke briefly, then directed her to the lower showroom floor, which did not house the premium collections. Selena frowned and noted 1716, Asian female, professionally dressed, not welcomed at entry. 1720, redirected to lower level, no access to Valencia sofas. Then came a young black couple, in their 30s, dressed fashionably. Crisp white sneakers, joggers, high-end tees, entering with bright smiles. No one greeted them. They looked around for a few minutes, then approached the reception desk. The receptionist, a middle-aged woman with heavily powdered makeup, looked up with a flicker of hesitation. She said a few words, then walked into the back without returning. The couple waited over 7 minutes. No one came back. No one followed up. Eventually, they left the showroom, the wife's eyes glinting with disappointment that needed no words. Selena clenched the pen in her hand. Exactly as I predicted, they don't just reject, they filter. Like an invisible but calculated sieve, the showroom system sorted customers by skin color, facial expressions, and demeanor. Those who fit the mold were treated like royalty. Those who didn't, no matter how polite, wealthy, or accomplished, were regarded as not worth the time. Selena turned to the camera. Her voice was low and sharp. This is no longer speculation. This is live evidence, and I'm ready to enter phase 2. She quickly texted Malcolm Grant, "Initiate contact with Preston Hale. I want a crystal clear test. They don't know they're being watched, but they'll soon find out they've been exposed." Selena leaned back in her chair, brushing her long hair behind her ear. Across the street, the showroom carried on as if nothing had changed. But the game had already shifted, and she, the founder of Elara Atelier, would be the one to expose what no one dared to speak of. Back at Elara Atelier, Beverly Grove Gallery, as the afternoon sun began to give way to the glittering glow of streetlights, the luxury furniture showroom maintained its polished, almost icy elegance. Toward the back of the showroom, among walnut wood displays, Italian rattan chairs, and the soft, even glow of glass pendant lights, a young woman in a beige blazer and black trousers was intently updating product information on a tablet. Her name was Alina Perez. Alina, 26, had transferred to the Beverly Grove location less than 6 months ago as a junior sales assistant. She wasn't the standout type, nor was she one of the insiders. But today, something had shifted. From the morning, Alina had sensed something was wrong. Bryce Wexler, the showroom director, whispered to the receptionist the moment Selena Monroe walked in. No one on the sales team was assigned to assist the black woman, even though she asked specifically about the Valencia Luxe, which was always in stock. Alina herself had seen that very sofa gleaming under the showroom lights. No reserved sign, no hold slip, no client name. She saw all of it, but said nothing. Not because she didn't care, but because she didn't dare. Midday, Alina had stolen a glance at Selena, the dismissed guest, and for a split second, their eyes met. There was no anger in Selena's expression, no pleading, just a gaze filled with awareness. As if Selena already knew everything, that look haunted Alina for the rest of the afternoon. She thought back to her onboarding session 6 months ago, when Bryce had casually joked, "We don't turn people away, but we do need to know who actually understands the value of art." Everyone laughed. Alina smiled awkwardly. She wasn't naive. She understood the subtext. Understanding the value of art in their language was code, a euphemism for discriminate, filter, and don't waste time on people who don't look like the ideal client. Today, when Selena left, Alina thought that was the end of it. But she had left behind a business card, slipped discreetly across the front desk, and Alina was the one who picked it up. It bore a single elegant line of text: Selena Monroe, founder and CEO, Elara Atelier. When you're ready to change what's suffocating you, call. Alina stood frozen for more than 5 minutes, her hand clenched tightly around the card. This was the founder, the actual owner, the black woman who had been turned away while trying to view a product created by her own company. At that moment, Alina realized she wasn't just a showroom assistant. She was a living witness to a serious distortion unfolding beneath a pristine facade. A feeling began to stir inside her: discontent, inner conflict, and responsibility. The product catalogue still glowed on her tablet screen, but her thoughts were elsewhere, caught on a decision she knew she'd eventually have to make. Would she dare to call? Would she have the courage to speak out against the very place that paid her salary? No one knew, not even Alina. But one thing was certain: a flicker of hope had sparked, and Selena Monroe had just lit the match. 3 days after her visit to the showroom, Selena Monroe returned to Beverly Grove, but this time not to observe from afar. She walked into Elara Atelier as any ordinary customer. A white blouse, light grey slacks, hair neatly tied back. No designer bag, no entourage, no aura of a CEO. Just a woman returning, hoping to be heard. Selena wasn't here to confront. She was here to send a signal. At the reception desk, the receptionist was about to speak when Selena gently raised her hand. "I don't need Bryce. I just want to speak to someone named Alina Perez. Is she here?" The receptionist hesitated, her eyes flickering with suspicion. I'll check." At that very moment, toward the back of the gallery, Alina was adjusting product information on her tablet. Hearing her name called, she looked up, and her eyes met Selena's. Just a few seconds, but enough to confirm one thing: the conversation was coming. Alina walked towards Selena, clutching the tablet slightly. No one could hear her heartbeat, but she knew. Today was a threshold. "Hello, I'm Alina," she said, trying to steady her voice. Selena offered a soft, measured smile. "I remember you. May we talk? In the lounge area out back." The two of them walked to the client seating area. Cream leather chairs, a clear glass table, and an air so still it felt stifling. "I came because I believe you're not like the others," Selena said gently. Alina swallowed. I don't know what you mean." Selena tilted her head, her gaze kind, but sharp. "You didn't turn me away the other day. I noticed. You were redirected before you could help me." Alina began to respond, but Selena continued, "I'm not blaming you. I just want to ask, have you ever felt like something here isn't working the way it should?" Silence fell. Alina didn't answer right away. Her hands gripped the tablet resting on her lap. She opened her mouth, about to speak. But then, "Alina!" A voice cut through the air, cold as steel. Bryce Wexler, showroom director, had appeared behind the chairs. Silver grey suit, slicked back hair, and eyes filled with calculation. "What are you doing? Didn't I tell you to inventory the second-floor display?" Alina jolted, standing abruptly. "I was just... A customer needed assistance, so I..." "This customer has been here before," Bryce interrupted, turning to Selena with a crooked smile. "Ma'am, I'm afraid there are no Valencia Luxe models available to view today either. If needed, I can have someone contact you later." Selena stood slowly. Eye contact, a silent battle. "That won't be necessary. I understand now," she replied, calm as ever. Then she turned to Alina, her gaze speaking what words couldn't. "I'm still here. If you choose to be." Before leaving, Selena reached into her wallet. This time she didn't offer a business card. She left behind a small printed note that read, "Elara is the child I built from nothing, and yet I am not allowed to touch what I created. If you've ever felt suffocated, don't wait for someone to open the door. You only need the courage to walk through it." Alina didn't pick it up, but Bryce saw it, and he knew it was a warning. Selena walked out of the showroom. No shouting, no accusations, no threats. She left behind only two things: a look and a question mark. and Alina, for the first time in months, couldn't continue her work as usual. She knew her life had just split into two. That night, Alina Perez sat alone in her small apartment in East Los Angeles. The tablet lay silently on the kitchen counter, no longer displaying luxury furniture catalogues. Instead, on the screen was a scanned image of a digital business card from that morning. Selena Monroe, founder and CEO, Elara Atelier. The door never closes to those brave enough to knock. Alina stared at the words. She had thought she'd forget what happened. Just like all the other times. Like the times Bryce Wexler ordered staff to steer clients of color toward cheaper products. Like the times she looked away, just to keep her job. But this time was different. In her mind, Selena's image remained vivid. A woman denied access to a showroom she had founded. A CEO who didn't need to shout her title, but who shifted the entire atmosphere with nothing more than a calm gaze. And then that final, quietly loaded message as she left. If you've ever felt suffocated, don't wait for someone to open the door. You just have to dare to walk through it. Alina stood and walked to the window. From the 5th floor, she looked out at the quiet residential street below. No blinding lights, no lavish boardrooms, just the soft glow from a few apartment windows, people struggling, like her, to hold on to life. She felt small, but somehow seen. Beside the tablet, her phone buzzed softly, a message from an unsaved number. Alina, this is Malcolm Grant, Ms. Selena's assistant. You don't have to reply, but if you ever have any questions, I'm here. 1 second, then 2. Alina didn't reply, but she saved the number. The next morning when she walked into the showroom, Alina tried to act normal. Tablet in hand, colleagues nodding in passing. Bryce stood near the client desk, giving her his usual glance, checking if she was behaving. But this time, Alina didn't lower her gaze. Mid-morning, a middle-aged black woman entered. Bright eyes, polite voice, and a poised professional air. She asked about the Cassia Signature Collection, a high-end line typically reserved for VIP clients. Alina stepped forward, ready to assist. But in an instant, Bryce cut in. Alina, that set is already booked. Take her to the mid-range section. Alina froze, her hand tightened around the tablet. Then, she nodded. Yes, sir. But before turning, she tilted her head and glanced at Bryce. Not with submission, but with calculation. That evening, after her shift ended, Alina didn't go straight home. She pulled over to the side of the road. Her fingers hovered over her phone screen. Her thumb lingered above the call button, then tapped. 2 rings, then a woman's voice, deep and unmistakable. This is Selena. Silence. Alina swallowed, her throat dry. It's me, Alina. From the Beverly Grove showroom. A slight pause, then Selena's voice softened, almost warm. I knew you'd call. Thank you for having the courage. The silent invitation had been extended, and now it had been accepted. Alina Perez sat across from Selena Monroe in a quiet cafe tucked away in West 3rd, a place where the warm amber lights weren't bright enough to draw attention, but just enough to feel safe. Her baseball cap pulled low, her long coat masking most of her frame. She still feared being recognized, especially by Bryce Wexler. But that fear could no longer outweigh the heaviness in her chest. Selena didn't speak much. She just looked at Alina, waiting. In the end, it was Alina who broke the silence. I can't stay quiet anymore. Selena nodded gently, as if that sentence had just unlocked a door. I'm here to listen. Alina's voice trembled slightly, but her words were steady. There's no formal documentation, but in training, in meetings, they call it profiling. Customers are sorted the moment they walk in. They say it's to optimize time, but it's discrimination. If someone isn't wearing obvious designer brands, isn't on the VIP list, isn't white, they're silently filtered out. Selena didn't take notes. She listened, with full presence. I once tried to assist a black woman. She wanted to see the Cassia collection, our top tier. Bryce stepped in, blocked me in the middle of the room, said that set was already reserved. But minutes later, a white couple got to view it right away. She exhaled, her eyes red and damp. That's when I knew. And I chose silence. But when I saw you being dismissed, being treated like you didn't matter, I couldn't stomach it anymore. Selena sat upright. Her gaze wasn't angry, it was resolute. I'm not here to pressure you, but I need to know. How far are you willing to go? Alina looked down at her cooling tea, then back up. I don't want to lose my job, but I know if I stay silent, hundreds more will be treated the same way. If you're going to do something about it, I want in. Selena reached into her bag and placed a small envelope on the table. This is a confidentiality agreement, not binding in any harmful way. It's just to ensure I can protect you if things get risky. Alina didn't rush to sign. She nodded. Give me one night. That night, Alina returned home. Selena's business card sat on the table. On her phone, a drafted whistleblower email she had typed, deleted, rewritten, and deleted again. Finally, at 2:13 a.m., she sat up, phone in hand. She dialed. 2 rings. This is Selena. That voice, calm like it had been waiting. Alina spoke softly. I'm ready to talk, but we have to be careful. We need proof. Selena smiled, though Alina couldn't see it. I've already prepared for that step. You're not alone. From that moment, the plan was in motion. A call that seemed impulsive would become the spark that unraveled an entire system. A soft, sunny morning in Beverly Grove. The breeze drifted gently through towering palm trees, while polished luxury cars lined both sides of the street like they were on display themselves. In a discreet corner near Elara Atelier, Selena Monroe stood quietly beside her assistant, Malcolm Grant, both silently observing. Across the street, a well-dressed middle-aged man stepped out of a gleaming Audi Q8. Navy blazer, cream chinos, Italian leather shoes polished to a shine. Preston Hale, a white entrepreneur and longtime former partner of Selena, was taking on a very specific mission today. You know what to do, right? Selena asked softly. Preston nodded, flashing a confident smile. I'll ask for the Valencia Lux, the one they said was already reserved. Get the camera ready. 8 minutes later, the glass doors of Elara Atelier, Beverly Grove slid open. Preston walked in like he belonged. He hadn't even reached the reception desk when a female employee approached him. Welcome, sir. May I offer you an espresso or tea? Which collection are you interested in today? Preston replied smoothly, I heard the showroom has the Valencia Lux on display. I'm very interested. The employee smiled professionally. Wonderful, that's one of our signature pieces. Please follow me. From across the street, Selena stood still. Through Malcolm's zoom lens, every moment was captured in detail. Warm gestures, open demeanor, no appointment required, no mention of this piece has already been reserved. Not a second of doubt that Preston was a qualified client. And then the unbelievable happened. Bryce Wexler, that Bryce, appeared. He smiled warmly, shook Preston's hand, and bowed slightly as though greeting an aristocrat. "Mr. Hale, I'm Bryce Wexler, Executive Director of the Beverly Grove branch. It's a true pleasure to have you here. The Valencia Luxe is a masterpiece. Allow me to present it personally." Malcolm whispered under his breath, "That's him," smiling like he's never looked down on a soul in his life. The camera recorded everything in crisp clarity. Preston was offered a private chair, served premium Italian espresso. Bryce personally guided him to the Valencia Luxe, detailing every feature. No cautionary remarks, no account history check. All it took was being white and confident. After nearly 20 minutes of standard client experience, Preston shook Bryce's hand again. "I'll think it over, but I must say, I'm very impressed today." Bryce responded, "Elara's doors are always open to you, sir." Preston walked out. Selena met him at the corner, her eyes still fixed on the live feed from the hidden camera. Preston pulled out his phone and shook his head slowly. "Selena, this isn't just bias. They've built a whole system to cover it up with politeness." Selena clenched her hand. She didn't speak, but Malcolm recognized that look. It wasn't anger, it was conclusion. "We've got the proof. Full HD footage, concealed angles, crystal clear audio. Every word captured, enough to break Elara's shield of denial." Selena turned to Malcolm. "Send me a copy, keep one for the lawyer, and prep the first strike." Malcolm blinked. "What are you planning?" Selena walked slowly toward the car. "Just a gentle reminder to Elara that someone's watching." The next morning, something felt off at the New York headquarters of Elara Atelier. Without warning, an email landed in the inboxes of both the Internal Communications Department and the Legal Division. From an unfamiliar address, bearing a subject line that made everyone's heart skip. "Inquiry regarding alleged discriminatory practices at Elara Atelier, Beverly Grove Showroom." On the 23rd floor, the legal office was thrown into chaos. Lawyers scoured every line of the message, while the PR team scrambled to call Bryce Wexler. A tense emergency call began between Bryce and the regional director. "Bryce, what the hell is happening at your showroom? There are allegations of discrimination, and they've got video proof." Bryce's voice tightened. "Baseless rumors. Someone's stirring up trouble. Media's already prepping coverage, Bryce. They have footage. If this turns out to be true, Elara could face a lawsuit, and I won't be shielding you. I'll handle it. Let me investigate internally. You better move fast, and if you find out anyone from your showroom leaked this, cut them. No hesitation." Bryce slammed his phone onto the desk. His eyes darkened. He knew someone had talked, and with a predator's instinct, he only needed a flicker, a wavering glance, to sniff out the traitor. Meanwhile, in a quiet conference room at a boutique hotel in West Hollywood, Selena Monroe sat calmly, sipping coffee and reviewing the anonymous email that Malcolm had just sent on her behalf. "Reaction?" she asked without looking up. Malcolm smirked. "The whole system's buzzing. I hear Bryce already called the regional manager. He's rattled." Selena nodded slowly. "Good, now we plant just enough fear to make him slip." Back at Beverly Grove Gallery, Alina Perez was organizing files when the door opened, and Bryce walked in, his glare slicing through the air like a blade. "Alina, in my office, now." The office door slammed shut behind Alina Perez. Gone was the bright lighting of the showroom, the soft ambient music. All that remained was a cold, sterile silence, so still that the ticking of the clock felt like a warning, each second a countdown to something inevitable. Bryce Wexler leaned against his walnut desk, gripping a tablet, already displaying the anonymous email. On screen, the subject line blinked like a curse. Discriminatory practices at Elara Atelier, Beverly Grove. "You know what this is, don't you?" he asked, voice steady, but laced with venom. Alina kept her face calm. "An email from the press." Bryce let out a dry, mocking laugh. "Clever, but I didn't ask for an act." He stepped forward slowly, each movement heavy, deliberate. "Who talked to the press? Who leaked internal policy? Who gave them the footage?" Alina didn't blink. "I don't know anything." Bryce paused, eyes narrowing, like a wolf catching the scent of blood. "You're the only one here who's soft. I've been watching. You hesitate. You question things." His voice dropped lower, more threatening. "And now, just as the media swoops in and the showroom's under fire, suddenly, someone leaks everything?" Alina swallowed hard. "I follow protocol. I've never spoken to anyone outside." Bryce planted both hands on the desk, leaning in until his face was close to hers. "Good. Then let me be clear. If I find out you were involved, even by 1%, you won't just be fired. You'll be blacklisted across the entire industry. Every luxury brand from Miami to Seattle will know your name. You won't work in any showroom ever again." The air turned heavy. Alina clenched her jaw, hands tightly gripping beneath the table to hide the tremble. But her eyes, they held steady. "I understand." Bryce straightened, leaning back. "Good, get back to work. And remember, don't give me a reason to think otherwise." 30 minutes later, at the showroom front desk, Bryce briskly passed through the lounge area, nodding at two newly arrived VIP clients, then turned to Jonas, the head of sales. "Gather all department managers, meeting in room 3, 20 minutes. Jonas blinked, confused. "Is something wrong?" "We have a traitor." Emergency meeting. All department heads, finance, customer relations, logistics, sat around the glass conference table. No spare chairs, no complimentary coffee like usual. Just Bryce, slowly spinning a pen between two fingers, eyes sharp as knives. "This showroom is under attack," he began. "Not because of mistakes, but because of a leak." A ripple of tension spread across the room. "Right now, several articles are investigating our client filtering policies, and I believe someone in this room has cooperated with outsiders." No one dared move. "I don't care about motives. Let me make one thing clear. If I find out who it is, they'll never work in this industry again." He looked up, scanning the room slowly. "I'm not joking." At the same time, in the top-floor suite of a nearby hotel, Selena Monroe was watching the tension unfold through a hidden camera, embedded in Malcolm's shirt. He had posed as a lighting technician visiting the showroom days earlier. She could see Bryce unraveling. "He's folding in on himself," she said. Malcolm nodded. "Ready to strike?" Selena gave a quiet smile. "Not yet. Let's let him tear off his own mask. But first, I want to see Alina again." The emergency meeting had ended, but Bryce Wexler returned to his office with visible tension etched across his face. Gone was his usual polished composure, replaced by the scowl of a man who felt cornered. The emails, the whispers, the shifting glances of employees, it all made him feel hunted. He needed a lead. And the first name that came to mind was Alina Perez. Bryce's office, 11:52 a.m. "Close the door." Bryce's voice was sharp, like a blade. Alina stepped in, doing her best to steady herself. She had prepared for this confrontation, but nothing could predict how cruel it might become. Bryce laid a printed document on the desk, an internal camera still showing Selena's return to the showroom, accompanied by a time-stamped summary of Alina's interaction with the mystery woman. "How do you explain this?" he asked coldly. Alina glanced at the photo and didn't deny it. "I simply spoke to a customer." "That was the CEO of Elara," Bryce snapped. "You think I didn't know? You had a quiet chat with her and suddenly we're under investigation. What a coincidence, huh?" Alina clenched her hands. "If you want to fire me, go ahead." Bryce sneered. "You think I'm stupid? Firing you now would be the same as confessing to everything." He stepped closer, lowering his voice with venom. "But I have other ways. I can have your file flagged. I can tell HR that you're not a cultural fit. An attitude problem. Trust me, no luxury brand wants to hire someone they can't control." Alina didn't flinch. "I'd rather lose my job than live like a shadow in a rotten system." Bryce stepped back. For the first time, he saw something in her he couldn't manipulate. Conviction. "Get out. Enjoy what's left of your time here." Alina turned and walked out, never looking back. 1 hour later, employee break room. Alina sat in silence, staring at the digital business card on her phone. She was no longer torn. She opened her notes app and began compiling internal training modules referencing client profiling. Direct instructions from Bryce on handling clients of color. Photos of display layouts categorized by target customer segments. She saved it all in a private folder. She titled it, "Truth for Elara." Selena had been waiting for this moment. Tuesday afternoon, all senior leadership of Elara Atelier was summoned to the New York headquarters, the meeting notice delivered in a single cryptic line. "Emergency meeting, mandatory attendance, absolute confidentiality." Inside Skyvault conference room, 52nd floor, a space usually reserved for signing international strategic deals, every seat was filled. From the creative director in Milan, the West Coast distribution head, to top legal representatives, they were all present. Tension weighed heavily in the air. Then, without an announcement, Selena Monroe entered. No assistant, no dramatic entrance, just a USB drive in hand, and an expression devoid of patience. She walked to the center of the room and plugged the USB into the giant LED display. The screen lit up. A video began to play, Preston Hale being offered espresso the moment he entered the Beverly Grove showroom. Bryce Wexler bowing slightly, guiding him to the Valencia Lux, beaming with a master-servant smile. Cut to Selena Monroe earlier, being denied access to the same sofa. No appointment, no verified finances. The room fell into stunned silence. Then came the next clip, a voice recording from an internal Beverly Grove showroom meeting. "Bryce, we don't turn people away. But remember, if someone fits the profile, serve them. If not, don't waste time." Other voice. "You mean discrimination?" Bryce chuckling coldly. "I call it brand refinement." Some board members' jaws dropped. The senior legal counsel turned pale. Selena looked around, her gaze like a blade. "This is part of an independent investigation I've conducted in secret. And today, I make my decision." She tapped the table. The doors to the boardroom opened. Alina Perez walked in, wearing a sharp black blazer, stronger, more grounded than ever before. Her eyes no longer held fear, but clarity. She placed a folder on the table, documentation, internal emails, and a detailed breakdown of customer profiling policies. Selena spoke. Ms. Elena Perez is the one who had the courage to tell the truth, not to tear Elara down, but because she believes in it, more than some of the people running it. She turned to the board. Now we choose: preserve a discriminatory system or revive the ideals that built Elara in the first place. Her eyes settled on Bryce Wexler, now visibly flushed and trembling. Bryce, your contract is terminated immediately. Effective this moment. All system access revoked. Legal action will follow for brand damage and ethical violations. Bryce shouted, "You have no right. I brought in the highest sales this year." Selena smirked. "And I'm the founder, and I just reclaimed Elara's soul." Security entered. Bryce was escorted out of the boardroom, under the cold stares of some and the quiet applause of a few others. 2 weeks later, on the cover of Modern Leadership magazine, a photo of Selena Monroe seated beside the Valencia Lux with the headline, "The Queen of Interiors Cleanses Her Showroom of Discrimination." The press hailed her bold move to personally expose internal misconduct as a slap across the face of the luxury service industry, forcing many brands to re-evaluate their customer engagement protocols. On CNN Business, Elena Perez was introduced as the newly appointed Director of Customer Culture Training, a position created specifically for her by Selena. Back at the Beverly Grove showroom, the transformation was swift and visible. The glass entry doors now bore a new slogan: "Every story, every skin. Welcome." Staff underwent retraining through a program called Empathy First, led by Elena herself. Thermal scanners were replaced by AI systems that avoided physical profiling, analyzing only behavior and need. Then, a landmark event took place. Selena hosted a homecoming reception right in the very showroom that had once rejected her. She invited every previously marginalized customer, those who had been dismissed, filtered out, or humiliated, to experience a day of complimentary luxury shopping. At the event, Selena stood before them all and said just one line: "Today, I'm not selling furniture. I'm returning an apology on behalf of an industry that forgot the humanity behind elegance." The ceremony concluded with a powerful moment. Kenneth Rhodes, the man who had written the very first complaint letter, was gifted the Valencia Lux set he had once been denied. And as the media would later write, the Rosa Parks moment of the furniture industry has arrived, and her name is Selena Monroe. Elara Atelier was once the dream of a black woman, a vision to build a space of luxury without bias, without judgment. But sometimes even the purest dreams are distorted by unseen hands within. Selena Monroe didn't need to scream. She didn't seek revenge. She only needed the truth. And someone brave enough to speak it, like Elena Perez. When Bryce Wexler walked out of Elara in silence, it wasn't just the fall of a manager. It was a warning to every system that dares to believe it can decide who is worthy of service and who is not. Because in the world Selena is rebuilding, hospitality is not a privilege. It is a default right of every human being. And if you've ever been judged for how you look, for the color of your skin, for the way you walked into a store, remember this: respect is never something you must ask for. It is something you always deserve.